Okay, so today we'll be moving on to Black Ops 2 and the start of Black Ops 2 Zombies, which was a map that I think a lot of people kind of mixed feelings of, and there was a lot of talk about it being kind of not very good when it first came out. But as years have gone by, I think people have kind of looked back at it and gone, you know what, it wasn't that bad, especially considering some of these Zombies maps across all different games we got following Tranzit. There are definitely some worse maps and Zombies modes out there. But today, we're going to be talking about Tranzit, what it did, what it brought to the game with Black Ops 2, and things that it did well, things it didn't do so well, and my own personal thoughts on the map as a whole. And before we do get into it, I do want to say I will not be covering the individual sections. Yeah, I won't be covering the Buzz Depot survival map, the farm survival map, and the town survival map, because they are very separate, and I'm just going to be talking about Tranzit specifically in this video. So without further ado, let's go for it. Alright, so to start things off, the main kind of mechanic that is present in Tranzit is the bus. And it's a pretty massive part of the map, and what it is there for is to get you from place to place around the map. It's a big map, and only certain parts that are actually kind of realistically playable in. So you've got the bus depot, which is spawn, the bus then takes you to Diner, then to the farm, the power station, and then town, and then back to the depot. It does go around in a loop, and it can drop off without you. You can get on it and take it where you need to go. You can get thrown off the bus, and the bus can also be shut down by a certain boss zombie, which we'll talk about later on. And there's a lot of things going on with it, and it is a pretty core part of the map. If you decide to go on foot and walk from place to place, there are a few things in your way. So more notably, it's completely foggy, so you can't see, and between some of the zones there is pools of lava, which will kill you if you don't know how to get past it effectively. But the main thing that's in the fog is these little monsters called the denizens. Now these are little like goblin bastards that jump on your head and start clawing at you, and you have to melee them off your head to get rid of them, and they constantly spawn while you're in the fog. There is a pretty cool thing you can do where if you take them to certain lampposts you can make teleporters and they teleport you to random parts of the map, but for the most part they're all RNG, so your best reliable way to get around is the bus itself. Another thing that was introduced in Black Ops 2 Zombies that is pretty much permanently in any Zombies map you'll play now is craftable items, and pretty much all they are is you find parts around the map, you pick them up, you take them to a workbench, and you craft together certain useful items. For example, there's a riot shield which you can use to block zombie attacks. In Transit you have to build the power switch, and you can also build the wonder weapon on Transit as well. And it's a pretty cool system. It's definitely early stages in Black Ops 2 because you have to get each part bit by bit and then add it to the bench. Whereas in like Black Ops 3 and stuff like that, you can find all the pieces you need and then go craft it once you've picked them all up. So it definitely did get better over time, but this was like the first version of the crafting bench we saw. And along with the crafting bench, it's pretty important to Transit as a map, because what you need to do is, in the very spawn of the game, you can build the turbine, which is like a temporary power system, and using that turbine, you have to put it in a certain spot in this power room to unlock the Pack-a-Punch. Alright, so in terms of the map itself and how it plays, so you've got the Black Ops 2 armory available to you, and again, it's a complete refresh of weapons, so any weapon you use in Black Ops 2 is present, along with some older guns like the AK-74U and the MP5 and stuff like that. There are some older classic guns, but for the most part you are using Black Ops 2 weapons. In terms of perks, you've got your normal kind of standard fare, double tap, juggernaut, speaker, quick revive, stamina up, and as well as that they added a new perk to Transit called Tombstone. Now, I wouldn't ever recommend using Tombstone, I think it's not that good. But essentially what it allows you to do is in multiplayer, if you go down and die and your teammates finish the round, you can come back and find your gear on the floor. It will give you your weapons back, it won't give you the perks back, but it will give you your guns back. And it can be useful, I suppose, if you want to use it, but I definitely wouldn't take it over like speaker, stamina, jug, double tap, especially on this map, because it just isn't worth it. Like if you die in one zone and your team survives the round, and then when you respawn you're in a completely different area, it's not worth going back for. So briefly talking about the wonder weapon on this map, the jet gun. So first of all, it's a buildable, and it doesn't take up a weapon slot, it takes up an equipment slot. Basically your craftable slot is the jet gun. And to find it, there are 3 locations outside of the map in the fog you have to go to. One of them is a cabin, one of them is Nakdun Towen, which is hidden in a cornfield on this map, which is pretty cool. If you didn't know, Nakdun Towen is the original Zombies map. And the third spot, I actually never ever remember what that is, but the gun itself, there isn't much to write home about. It's not very good. There is a certain strategy to using it effectively that you'll see many high round runners do, but for the most part it's not the best thing ever, and it can break, so it can be quite annoying to use. So I think on that side of things the wonder weapon was pretty disappointing for most people on Transit. The boss zombie, there is a boss zombie in this map, and I don't actually remember what the name of it is, but there is like newer versions of it called Tempest, so I'm going to call it the Tempest anyway. Essentially it's an electric zombie, and he spawns every now and again. He's quite easy to deal with if you know what you're doing, but he can also really kind of ruin your game if you're not careful. He can turn the buzz off completely, which means it's kind of stationary for a little bit, and it can be anywhere on the map. There is ways to kind of get it started back up quicker, but you can do that. And it can be quite annoying to deal with because you can fly around and like teleport real fast and stuff like that. But it's nothing crazy, especially compared to later on down the line in Black Ops 2. But still a bit of a nuisance to deal with. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all of the additions they put in with Transit. Like I said, there's a lot going on, and it is a lot to get your head around the first couple of times you play. I think a lot of the negativity towards the map comes from just how you get around it. Like, sure, there are kind of, you know, there's an opportunity to get better at the map and learn kind of certain things to make it easier, but a lot of the time you do kind of rely on the buzz, and sometimes that's just not reliable at all. Pack-a-Punch can be a bit dicey as well. Like, it's not the best way to get it set up, and of course the wonder weapon being kind of dog shit unless you use it in a certain way wasn't really that good either. But overall, I would say if you can get past the buzz kind of system and you can kind of ignore the fact that the wonder weapon shit and you can kind of just get used to using other weapons, I think the map is fun. And it also has one of the best camping spots in zombies in town, so you can get pretty high pretty reliably if you know what you're doing. And it's a lot of fun to play with friends as well. But yeah, overall I enjoy it. It's not the best map ever, it's not the worst map ever, but it does take time to get used to, so I think that's kind of like the big thing for it, where if you put the time in and learn it, you'll enjoy it more. But yeah, that's pretty much going to cover it. There is other things in Transit I didn't mention in this video, but I did want to get the big things out of the way. I have a lot more plans to make a lot more in-depth and different videos of Black Ops 2, because there's so much more going on in the zombies compared to like Black Ops 1 Mode at War. And I will be going back and revisiting Mode at War and Black Ops 1 in future videos, talking about more of the storyline and certain details that I again kind of skipped over. There's not as many in those games, but they're still interesting to talk about nonetheless. So thank you all for watching. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and leave your thoughts on Transit down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.